Imagine spending 27 years in prison, isolated and silenced, only to emerge as one of the greatest leaders the world has ever seen. This is not just a story of resilience. It's the extraordinary journey of Nelson Mandela. How did a prisoner become a president who changed the course of history? Stay tuned as we dive deep into the untold stories of a true legend. Early life. Born into the royal family of the Thembu tribe in the small village of Mvezo-Transkei on July 18, 1918, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was destined for leadership. However, his journey was anything but royal. After his father's death, young Mandela was adopted by Chief Jongintaba Dalindyebo, who provided him an opportunity to access education, an unusual privilege for a black South African at the time. Little did anyone know that this bright spark would one day ignite a fire for change that would engulf a nation. Injustice of apartheid. But beneath the surface of this idyllic childhood lurked a darkness, the oppressive system of apartheid. This brutal policy of racial segregation denied basic rights and opportunities to the black majority, including young Nelson. Witnessing firsthand the humiliation and suffering inflicted upon his people, a seed of rebellion was sown within him. This wasn't a world Nelson could accept. The injustice fueled a burning desire to create a future where all South Africans, regardless of skin color, could live with dignity and respect. Path of justice. Driven by this unwavering conviction, Nelson pursued a law degree, becoming South Africa's first black lawyer. This wasn't just about personal ambition, it was about equipping himself with the tools to dismantle the very system that oppressed his people. He soon found his calling with the African National Congress, ANC, a political party fighting for racial equality. Initially advocating for peaceful protests and boycotts, Mandela's voice resonated with a nation yearning for change. He led marches and demonstrations, his charisma uniting people under the banner of freedom. But as the apartheid regime tightened its grip, the ANC was forced to consider more radical methods. This shift in tactics would eventually lead Nelson down a path of great sacrifice and danger. Facing imprisonment with defiance. In 1962, Nelson Mandela's life took a dramatic turn. He was arrested on charges of sabotage and conspiracy to overthrow the government. The infamous Rivonia trial that followed became a global spectacle, a stage where the fight for justice would be fought not just on the streets, but in the halls of power. Facing a potential life sentence, Mandela refused to back down from his principles. His iconic "I am prepared to die" speech became a rallying cry for the oppressed, demonstrating his unflinching commitment to the cause. 27 years in the shadows, the sentence handed down was a cruel one: life imprisonment on Robben Island, a desolate penal colony known for its harsh conditions and backbreaking labor. This marked the beginning of a dark chapter in Mandela's life, 27 years stolen from a man who dedicated his existence to freedom. But even within the confines of his cell, Mandela's spirit remained unbroken. He secretly educated fellow prisoners, transforming his cell into a makeshift classroom. He became a beacon of hope, a symbol that the fight for justice could never truly be extinguished. The long walk to freedom. The outside world didn't forget Nelson Mandela. And finally, after 27 long years, in 1990, a wave of change swept across South Africa. After years of relentless international pressure and a softening stance within the government, Nelson Mandela was finally released from prison. Stepping out as a free man after nearly 3 decades, he emerged as a symbol of hope, not just for South Africa, but for the entire world. His walk out of prison wasn't just a personal victory. It was a momentous occasion for a nation yearning for a brighter future. The long walk to freedom had finally reached its destination. From prisoner to president, But Mandela's fight was far from over. The scars of apartheid ran deep, and reconciliation seemed like a distant dream. However, in a surprising move that stunned the world, Mandela chose a path of forgiveness and negotiation. He entered into talks with the white government, advocating for a peaceful transition to democracy. This decision, while controversial, ultimately paved the way for a historic election in 1994. In a moment that sent shivers down spines across the globe, Nelson Mandela, the former prisoner of conscience, was elected as the first black president of South Africa. His presidency wasn't just about dismantling apartheid laws, it was about rebuilding a fractured nation. He established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, a groundbreaking initiative that allowed victims and perpetrators to share their stories in a quest for healing and understanding. Mandela believed that true forgiveness was the only way to break the cycle of hate and build a lasting peace. He reached out to white South Africans, acknowledging their fears and insecurities while assuring them of a place in the new South Africa. Beyond the presidency, after one term as president, Mandela, a man of his word, stepped down from office. But his retirement wasn't a retreat from public life. He became a global ambassador for peace, human rights, and fighting poverty. He traveled the world, inspiring millions with his message of hope and reconciliation. Untold stories. But Nelson Mandela wasn't just a political icon. He was a man with a rich personal life, filled with love, loss, and sacrifice. His dedication to the fight against apartheid came at a personal cost. He spent years separated from his family, enduring long stretches in prison. This sacrifice strained his relationships, leading to the eventual breakdown of his first marriage. Mandela's story isn't without its flaws. He spent years in exile, leaving the day-to-day struggle for freedom to others within South Africa. He also faced criticism for his handling of certain aspects of the post-apartheid transition. These complexities offer a more nuanced perspective on this extraordinary man. Wisdom of Nelson Mandela. Throughout his life, Nelson Mandela shared powerful words of wisdom that continue to resonate today. Here are a few of our favorites. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. A winner is a dreamer who never gives up. Ripple effect of a legacy. Nelson Mandela's story is more than just history. It's a testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome adversity, fight for justice, and choose forgiveness over hate. Let Mandela's story be a catalyst for change in your own life. Ask yourself, how can I embody the spirit of forgiveness in my daily interactions? How can I use my voice to speak out against injustice? What small act of kindness can I ripple outwards to create a more positive world? Share your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. Let's keep the dream of a more just and equitable world alive together.